What we know at this point is that there were a number of rockets, according to the Israeli Defense Forces, that were fired into northern Israel. No casualties. They landed in open areas near to a town called Kiryat Shmona in the northernmost part of Israel. Now, the Israeli Defense Forces say that they did return fire to the source of those rockets, and they're also saying that that they expect the Lebanese government to take responsibility of trying to stop these rocket attacks. Certainly, there is a worry in Israel. There is going to be a second front opening up. We heard this right at the beginning of the Gaza operation. The Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert making it clear that if necessary, he had the troops and he had the willpower to send them up north as well to try and stop a second front. So this is something we saw last week as well. Certainly the Israeli government and the Lebanese government trying to play it down at that point, because at this point nobody wants this second front to be opening up, even though Israel is making it perfectly clear that it would be able to cope with it if it was necessary. Monita?
The Israeli government has another focus, of course, and that is on Gaza. What's the latest on that? And we are expecting Ban Ki-moon to be giving a news conference at some point. And of course, that mission, and he just stated just the other day that Israel and Hamas need to heed the call for a ceasefire, but that doesn't seem to be happening.
No, Monita, at this point, both sides are ignoring that, just as they ignored the UN resolution last week calling for an immediate ceasefire. Now, at this point, we understand the Israeli military is trying to tighten its control, its stranglehold on Gaza City itself. It appears as though troops may almost be surrounding the Gaza City, which is an incredibly densely populated areas, and they're trying to root out the Hamas militants and other militants who have hidden inside that area. Now, we're still seeing rockets being fired from Gaza into Israel, and we believe, and the Israeli military believes, that most of those rockets are being fired from the densely populated areas, from the more residential areas. So certainly that's where the military is trying to root the militants out at this point. They say that they're coming across an awful lot of booby-trapped houses. They say that overnight they had about 60 different targets. So it doesn't look as though the Israeli military at this point is slowing down in the slightest. They still have targets to hit. And of course, the worry is the further they get into these very densely populated areas, the higher the Palestinian civilian death toll is going to go. We already have a death toll, according to Palestinian medical sources, of 971 Palestinians. A third of those are children. And also the number of injuries is well over 4,000. A third of those are children as well. So certainly this is the worry of Ban Ki-moon, as he has said, of the international community, that the civilian death toll is just too high, especially with women and children. And the closer the military is to having clashes in very densely populated areas with the Israeli military, that death toll can only go higher.